We're back. It's the Horns Up Talking Texas podcast. Fisher DeSopolis, DJ Nikki Snacks Crider, the Quan Cosby. Get your horns up, gentlemen. Massive rivalry this week. We are heading to Fort Worth, taking on the TCU Horned Frogs. Not the defending Big 12 champs from last year, but they were the regular season champs. They were undefeated. They beat Michigan despite their signs being stolen in the first round of the college football playoff, and they got bamboozled by Georgia in Los Angeles last year. But you know what? Great for the Big 12 to get to that final championship game. This season for Sonny Dykes' squad, it's a bit of a different story. They didn't have the depth to handle it. The turnaround and the turnover has been too much for the TCU Horned Frogs to handle. Right now, Chandler Morris is the guy who started the season. He's not starting right now. It's probably going to be Josh Hoover under center for them, the red shirt freshman. And under center for us, Malik Murphy filled in admirably. I think we could give that an A for admirably, but I think we're getting our quarterback back in Quinn Ewers, and it's going to pay big dividends. So I'll kick us off. I think, being stealing it from maybe everybody here. The one thing I'm looking for, obviously with Quinn being back, is a return to normalcy. I want to see the offense get back to normal. I want to see the offense get back to balance. I don't need Quinn to come out and start lighting it up and throwing 45 passes on Saturday.
Right.
I'm in for a 25 pass game, and I'm in for Jonathan Brooks toting the rock a bit more and working him back into the next
25.
Love that. That's literally an even split, and I'm working, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a return to balance, a return to normalcy, and a return to all the guys getting theirs, Worthy getting his in a fair share. And like AD Mitchell, I think probably benefited the most, ironically, from Malik being in action. But Sanders getting back worked into the mix, Jay Wick getting worked back into the mix, and the continuation of Baxter and obviously Brooks really toting the rock quite nicely. So I think having Quinn back there under center in a big game that's their Super Bowl, big rival. It's probably the last time we're gonna suit up against them in a long time. We got to keep these things in mind. I always forget. But a return to normalcy is what I'm probably most looking for from an offensive perspective in this one.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think obviously we're going to have to see Quinn, ease into it. We don't want him to do anything too crazy and wind up back on the bench because he's injured. But, you also want to get him in the groove to, get ready to play these big, meaningful games because every single game, as we say, is a playoff game here on out. And we got a target on our back. And TCU knows that this could be the last time we play in 20, 30, maybe 40 years. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, toting the rock is going to be a big thing here. Getting Jonathan Brooks 25 plus carries, I think, would be crucial here. Baxter getting 10 plus carries, just making sure we just run the ball down their throat. Their defense has looked super suspect in the last couple of weeks. Started off okay to start the season, but, getting piped 41-3 by Kansas State, a team that we just beat, that's a beatdown. Big beatdown. And of course, Texas Tech always puts up their points, but 35 points against Tech. Like, this is a very vulnerable defense that we can look to manipulate and see if we can, get our offense going and finally get over that 40-point hump. Looking for
Would be nice. Would be nice.
But it really was. A couple of pieces of it, though. Certainly, Quinn coming back is a big deal, mainly because one of the luxuries of Malik was he was at home. He had a very friendly crowd. And he still, because of his youth, found ways to make some very young decisions that were costly, if we want to put it that way. But the couple of things that do factor in is defense travels and run game travels. No matter what the situation is, if you can do both of them, if you can play defense and you can run. Now, one of the worries is TCU on paper looks better than TCU's record looks. They're actually leading the Big 12 in passing.
Wow.
Well, as great as our defense can be, we held K-State, who's leading the country or second in the country in rushing, but they actually passed the ball on us pretty decent. And so it wasn't a backup quarterback like we're going to face in Fort Worth. But I think, to y'all's point, they're going to play us as good as anyone. This is their Super Bowl, especially with the season that they are having. Sonny still, starts the rumors that Texas came after him, so it means a lot for him to get the donors off his back, even after the season they had last year. So it's going to be fun, like it always is. Unfortunately, TCU is, I think, 8-3 versus Texas since they've come back to the Big 12. So that's always so. Every time you go, you got to get nervous when someone has that level of record on you. So it's gonna be fun, man. But there's a lot to play for, and I'm damn happy Quinn is back, and I think the team is gonna react to it well as also.
Yeah, kind of the Gary Patterson Bowl, huh? That we're looking at here.
That's what this has come to. The Gary Pat, love that. It's hilarious.
The Gary P Bowl. No, I couldn't agree more. And I think just with all of y'all's points, and I'd say a more balanced attack for us where we're taking care of the football will allow our defensive backfield to have an opportunity at righting the ship and course correcting a little bit. You know, what happened to them in the second half. A lot of that was field position. A lot of that were the young mistakes, as you said, Quan, and put them in a position where they were not set up for success. And those are some talented guys back there. I think we have 10 interceptions collectively. Interestingly, Taff is our leader in interceptions with 3, which is awesome for him.
Reminds me of Dylan Haynes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to see those guys.
Yeah,
he's been better.
Like a walk-on that gets a scholarship. He's a safety.
The level of humility from Tapp, and I can talk about it, and this is a unique perspective when I actually do the radio, is Michael is one of the people that I interviewed afterwards, and in Westlake kid, insanely humble, and it's so cool that he's in the right spot at all the right times, and he's a great tackler. There's a million reasons he is certainly 3 and 4 and 5.0 to the guy you mentioned, but and then Toss, to your point, Gary Patterson very opportunistically was on the sideline last week. We haven't seen him all year.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I was like, you're worse than McConaughey. Both of y'all are getting out here trying to get some TV time. And I don't think it's a coincidence that was the week before TCU. And I think we all should expect him at the same spot. Now, the interesting piece is what sideline he's going to be on. But with me doing, and I got to give my boy Will a shout out. Teddy is this young baby. So Will missed last week. So I did the radio. I'm going to do it again this week. And happy for Will and his family. But I tell you what, if Gary's down there, I'm going to have some quotes for him when we come back next week, because that would be a weird situation with him running around that sideline.
I don't know if he's going to be on the field for this game, because if he's like, you know where he wants to be. He wants to be on our sideline because we got the more promising future, you know, where we might make the dance. But at the same time, he put in all those years at TCU. That's would
school.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if you can be on that Texas sideline in this game.
Dude, no. Y'all have this all twisted. I'm about to go conspiracy theory with y'all. He wants to be on that sideline now. He did not want to be on that sideline last year when Sonny was winning all those games, goes to the Big 12,
bad
and
luck,
then goes to the Natty. Right now, he's like, hey, y'all miss me now, don't y'all? Because his argument is Sonny only won with his players. You go 2 years removed, now he's thinking it up. So, yeah, no, you're right. I doubt he's going to go down there. I feel like he will 100% be in the building somewhere. But if he does go down there, he's going to do both. Because last year, it would have probably been too soon, and Sonny was doing his thing. This year, you put Kerry on the screen and get old ball coaches that have an ego or two, the crowd goes crazy, and he gets his love. So I think he would. He wants a statue there anyway.
Yeah, he probably deserves it. He put a lot of time in and he had a lot. He had a lot of.
He does, I guess.
He had a lot
Statues
of success there.
Handed out like candy, like Halloween candy these days.
Well, I mean, it's just funny that.
Hey, man, I hope you get one, bro.
He can complain about Sonny Dykes. He can complain about Sonny Dykes taking his players to the college football playoff, but he didn't take his players to the college football playoff. True. So Sonny Dykes did something right. Point. I'm just saying, like, no slight, because he was a tremendous coach at TCU during his tenure there. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be in a box with some AC and, you know, a nice bourbon drink next to him, and it'll be comfortable, and he won't have to play both sides of the coin. The one thing that I'll just bring up as well, and then I want to ask you a quick question here, Quan, is that our third down conversion, I know I've brought it up multiple times throughout the season. We're 87th in the nation. It hasn't gotten much better. And again, I think our fourth down conversion, that's something that needs to be looked at as well when you're looking at third down conversion, because that has been relatively good. but we're converting less than 40% of our third downs. So that's still a problem. And hopefully that's something that we can continue to address and get better at. But Q, I wanted to just ask you, like, what experientially calling again, which you haven't done quite some time, what was the anxiety like, especially in this game that went to OT and looked really bad for us in the second half?
Are you kidding me? That was stressful, man. So here I am. I'm like, damn, dude, we're having a good season. I'm not superstitious, thankfully. I'm a creature of habit, but I'm not truly superstitious. It just, creature of habit. So unfortunately, during my days, we didn't win a lot. So I'm sitting there going, if you don't win this game, and I'm laying in bed thinking I called another loss, I'm going to lose my damn mind.
Yeah.
So that was one piece of it. And then we started great, and I was like, yes. And then unfortunately, the mistakes piled on, and they came back, and we go. I tell you that probably the one moment where I was like, you know what? I'm still not superstitious, but when they freaking fumbled that kick where it should have been 28-27, and we really don't go to overtime, I was like, the man, not that anybody we serve gives a hootenanny about football, but I was like, yes, he's up there. He got my back.
I mean,
in Greek mythology, there's a god for football for sure.
I was texting guys like, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we weren't having this type of luck. Like, this is the luck that would have gone
exactly
even up to,
right.
like, last year, the year before that, like the last 10 years, that luck would have gone the opposite way. And this game was just like one of those, oh my gosh, how do we pull that game off with all the mistakes that we made in overtime? They literally had the ball first and goal, and they couldn't punch it in. And yeah, I mean, that just feels kind of like a good omens on our side this year. And
it really does. And that's what it was about. And I will say, I was rusty. I was certainly rusty. There's a lot of logistical things that we won't get into. I wasn't bad. We're all hard on ourselves.
For sure.
And then we go into post game, and it actually went really, really well. Just that's the part I missed the most. Talking to Michael, talking to, really all the guys who came in. It was the on the radio conversations and the after the radio conversation, talking to Sark before and after. Those were the cool pieces that I was like, oh crap, I like this part. I didn't like not having something to do with the game, but I love this part. And so it was fun, man. And this week being on the road always is cool, because if I'm going to go to any road game, it's going to be TCU. There's a few things you learn by doing the radio. You find out who has the best food and really just the best atmosphere. And TCU is one of them. They tailgate phenomenally. My day job company has a great tailgate there because our CEO is a TCU grad. So you kind of get the best of all worlds. And then their club area has the best food of any club area in the freaking Big 12. Now, it makes sense. Their stadium's less than 10 years old or something like that. So it's pretty sweet. So, man, I'm looking forward to it. But it really, on all levels, mainly, one, an opportunity to get closer to that 500 mark on them kicking our butts for the last few years. But two, Quinn coming back. Three, we're 8-1. Four, it's Fort Worth, probably my second favorite city in Texas. So it's a lot of reasons to be fired up. And again, what we've seen in the last 2 weeks, we had little shaky weeks of our defense not playing to what we felt like was their standard. That hadn't been the case the last 2 weeks. We talked about it last week, K-State. We said if they stop the run, make them one-dimensional, still got some things to work in on the back end, but we'll win that game. Got a little shaky, but we did win that game, and they had less than – I think they had like 36 yards rushing. That is insane.
I sent you guys we broke their streak of 27 games straight with having 100 yards rush, just a 100-yard rushing attack.
Love that.
We broke that streak. Like, this defensive line, I felt like in the last week and a half, they finally got the credit that they have deserved. Murphy and Sweat are getting praised by everyone. National media is talking so much about our interior defensive line, our defensive line in general, and our offensive line, and that's what makes us in that top 8, right? That people believe can actually contend, which I think, Q, is something we need to talk to you about a little bit, because in our text thread, you didn't necessarily feel the same way about us, or there's some hesitancies, right?
Because he's scared about how many tickets I'm about to ask him for the college football playoff.
Hold on, but what do y'all mean? So, you're talking win the Natty. Oh, so yeah, dude. And this is the thing. My number one focus is winning the Big 12. That is where I think we are.
Of course.
But what I'm a realist about is even it's if you can't score on the 1 yard line, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have doubts.
Sure.
If you're 130th in the country in red zone scoring, I'm gonna have doubts. If you're 80 something on third down, when you get to that Final Four, when you think on that level, those teams are doing those things I'm not even saying they're doing them at 70, 80%. They're at least doing them at 50%. I remember when I played, Coach Davis always said, he's like, the best third down teams in the country are at 50%. So if you think about that, if you have 8, you got 4 out of 8. That's just realistic. To me, that's the same mindset of baseball. You batting 300, you're Hall of Fame because it's that hard and you're in those
statistics
scenarios.
aren't everything, but there are certain ones that we have to pay attention.
There's certain ones you have to be good at. Right. So if we go into those level games and we're unsuccessful and we're going for it and not taking points, on that side of the ball and stuff, I just look at the complete picture. I think it's wide open to a certain degree when it comes to the national championship. But I do think some folks who have been there before, like a Georgia, I'm gonna be real. We beat the crap out of Bama, but Bama's trending in the right direction, and they have been there before, and certainly their coach has been there before. And so that's where I'm like, are we truly a get to the national championship team? I'm not sure yet, but I do know that we absolutely should win the Big 12, even if we play Oklahoma again. We should kick their butt, and that's where I'm at. I think we should get to the playoff, and that's still some things need to be shaked out that I think will be. I'm just not really confident. And ultimately, there's nobody more who don't want to be proved wrong, and I want us to win it all. I just don't know with those statistical facts and the data there, if you can win it all. Put it like this. You're not going to win a playoff game that you have 4 turnovers. And that's just the way we had 2 interceptions, a fumble, and really we can count the block punt as a turnover. And so I love what we're doing. To your point, Nick, there's some things going our way, not the refs in the Big 12. Let's be real about that. There's some things going our way. We're finding ways, and I love every bit of it. This team growth, and I think that play, how close knit this group is why they're finding ways and they're leaning on each other. However, I know you can't make those level mistakes. If you go back to our national championship game, I don't know that USC did have 1 turnover. No, USC had 2 turnovers. They lost. We didn't have 1. Now, not those teams are very different, but the game of football isn't. If you can't take care of the ball and all of that, you're just going to struggle. We do have a lot of good guys on this team that will play on the next level, but I think it's little factors that, and I'm going to tell you, last but not least, when I played, Vince was that guy. He's like, in that time of need, I want the ball in my hands and I'm going to make something happen. During our days, it was different guys. Shia, me, Jamal Charles, from an offensive standpoint. On defense, it's Huff, it's Griff, and all that. Who are those guys on this team? I think we have phenomenal players, but when we say we need this right now, you can double me, you can do whatever you want. Can we, with full confidence, say, even as Sweat, and he's so awesome. He's a big human being for one. But even right now, when you need that play, and Sweat may be, Murphy may be, we saw that in the overtime. So that perspective may change. But who are those guys offensively and defensively that were like, that's all right. We got our boy here. He's about to make a play.
I think the telling thing is, and I kind of didn't mean to almost jump in there on you, Q, and your which is great stuff.
My bad, y'all pros. So I kept yapping.
No. I was good, but I was trying to dive in when I shouldn't have. But you were cruising. And it was just off the point of Toss bringing up the stat that I think can answer your question, unfortunately, in a negative light. If we had that guy, we wouldn't be 87th in the nation in third down percentage.
Thank you.
That's just like, right. That's just, you're right. And if you look at that's what I pulled up over here. the leaders in third down percentage, like LSU's number 1. Yeah, they're 6-3, but they're number 1. They have Daniels, who's a pro quarterback, but they have Malik Neighbors, who's like, he's going to be a top 15 pick, top 20 pick. Number 2, 3, and 4, not in that order, but just 2 through 4, Georgia, Oregon, Michigan. Like Bama's in the top 20. Like we're the only FSU, like Washington's in the top 20. FSU is like outside the top 40, but they're still in the top 50. So and look, Quinn's missed a couple games, but at the end of the day, keeping your defense with fresh legs and no 3 and outs and controlling the clock and controlling the time of possession is key. I think ultimately we've seen teams lose because they're in weird ways scoring too quick. And I know it's a dumb thing to maybe even say, or they're going 3 and out and they're getting turnover after turnover. You know, I mean, look at you could go to the professional level. The New York Football Jets have one of the best defenses in the entire, National Football League. But Zach Wilson's going 3 and out every time, and you could only withstand so much. Exactly. So I actually do think Tavondre Sweat and Murphy, we have a lot of pros on our team, and I think those 2 guys lead the way. They'll both be second-round picks, and maybe Sweat could sneak in the first round, but they'll both be second and worst third-round picks. Those guys are really big playmakers. I think Ethan Burke, quite honestly, I know he's not eligible for the draft right now. I think he's a playmaker. I don't know if Williams is there this year at his young stage in his career, but I think there's going to be a year you talk about. I'm not saying he's going to be Huff or Griffin, but he's going to enter that realm of like, okay, this is a real safety net for Texas, a real backbone to the defense on the defensive backfield. I think we have some of those guys, to be honest, in the defensive side of football.
Anthony Hill's not eligible, but Anthony Hill's that dude.
Yeah.
Like there's some guys on there who's gonna play in the league at some point.
I was gonna say Anthony's that guy for sure. I mean, he's the guy you're gonna see go in the first round. I mean, that we used to look at LSU, like Devin White, or Isaiah Simmons from Clemson. On the offensive side, though, like who you go to on third down. Look, I know that he missed the game due to an injury, but Jatavian Sanders only has 22 catches this season. We're 9 games in, and he only has 22 catches a season. That's a little less than 3 catches a game. And last year, he had 54 catches. He's not even come close to touching that this season. So I'm just wondering, why we can't get on, these style of offensive drives where we're just feeding probably our best offensive weapon. Jatavian legit might be the best pro coming out of Texas on the offensive side of the ball. Like
there's not going to be a lot of argument with that. He really may be.
And the fact that he's only getting the ball, less than three times a game, like it's absurd. And every time he touches the ball, it's a big play. It's first down. It's a big catch, up the middle, holding on to it.
Fourth and 6. Who did they go to? Jatavian Sanders, and he got
exactly.
26.
Also, like in the red zone, he only has 1 touchdown this season. We've been stopped on the goal line so many times. Like, why don't you just get the guy the ball?
So true.
If I recall correctly, I think that was a seam route that he took for like 30 plus yards. Right. I don't even think it wasn't in the red zone. It
wasn't even in the red zone.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm right there with you. Q, I think it was a really fair assessment of our team. And I think it's worth acknowledging, Josh. I think the perspective of adding those other teams who are also, top 8 by CFP ranking where they are on third down conversions.
Sad truth.
It's an important thing to bring up, but I think I was just going to say, I think that's why this Big 12 championship to us is so important, because we've really only had 2 games of tape, in my opinion, where our opponents, and not to say that Kansas wasn't good or Kansas State, but Oklahoma and Alabama are different levels of football teams than the rest of the teams that we've played on our schedule. And whoever gets to the Big 12 championship, our opponent, if Oklahoma State is that team at that point, I will believe that they are either the 3rd best team that we've played, maybe even the 2nd best team that we've played behind Alabama. And that game will show me a lot about what we can do if we are to get into the college football playoffs. And it's another opportunity to kind of prove us wrong, or prove you wrong just based off the things you listed out. But again, I'm saying I agree with you on all of the assessment that you made.
And to take it to another level, another pro that we didn't mention on the defensive side, Ford will be a pro.
Yeah, 100%.
Good pro. That linebacker is a real deal. I guess for me, though, it's kind of those things. Those are massive deals. However it works itself out. And the thing even about Oklahoma State, I really like our chances. Why? Because they're a running team. They run the ball more than anything. And we have arguably a top, I would say 3, maybe even better run defense with Sweat, Ford, and all the above. excluding and that's, by the way, with having the worst game we ever had versus Oklahoma. They ran all over us with Dylan Gabriel. But the thing is, when we stop the run, we are a little Taft got some turnovers and stuff, but we're kind of a bend don't break on the back end right now. When there's team first or pass first, and then really on the other side of the ball, third down and red zones. That's just a big deal, dude. The teams we played on that went 12-1, that went 13-0, we weren't 50%. We were 65, 70% on those downs, which ultimately keep you ahead of the chains. And then we made field goals. We always score points. And we get in these lulls for a quarter and a half, 2 quarters where we don't score points. We've done a phenomenal job of fixing what we needed to start fast. And then we've still done, in my opinion, a pretty damn good job in the fourth quarter, figuring it out and finding a way or closing a game. But that 2-quarter lull, you can't do that in the playoff.
Yeah.
You maybe can't even do that in the Big 12 championship. And so that's where I'm saying you have to. I'll put it like this. Have we played a complete game as a team yet? I'm so grateful where we are to be 8-1. That tells you how good we are and our potential. But I would argue maybe the closest one would be Bama.
Yeah,
that's probably the closest.
It's a pretty complete game.
That was pretty complete. But that's how you beat a top 5 team. Can we play a complete game? Yes,
I'd say
we should.
I'd say Bama and then the Baylor game. I mean, it's Baylor, but if you look at the rest of the schedule, like as guys who watch the game, you could point and let everyone know what the flaws were. Like the Houston game, blew the lead, and we had to come back in the fourth quarter. BYU, honestly, it kind of felt like we felt flat, and then towards the end we pulled away. Wyoming, that's another game where it was close all game long. Kansas, I mean, we had some defensive issues here and there, but yeah, I mean, Baylor and Bama, I think, are the only 2 that are really complete games.
And Baylor lost to Texas State, and I would say Houston because
and they had their backup quarterback too.
And they had their backup quarterback. So I mean, those are just.
We got to take care of the games, though. You got to take. Bama has gotten better every game. We were talking about it, the 3 of us earlier. Like Bama not only has pros, but they have 3 top 15 picks and in important positions: cornerback, edge, and defensive line. I will say, you brought up, it is a bright spot, our run defense. And I think that's one thing that, if you want to win a national championship, you have to run the football. And if you want to be able to also, on the flip side, you have to be able to stop the run. And we're top 10 in rushing every category. So touchdowns, yards per game, yards per rush, yards just obviously in general, per yards per game. And that's including the OU game. I can't imagine where we'd be. We could be number 1 if you take out the anomaly of the Dylan Gabriel game. So, and where Ford, who's a pro, had his worst game. I think there have been, I will say, in defense of our defense, some weird, the Watts injury was kind of weird. He's a really important piece. I don't know if he's going to get drafted per se, but he's a really big piece. He's consistently graded he's a consistently graded our highest corner week in and week out when he plays. So missing him was a big piece. Catalan, honestly, I know I've praised our safeties in the past, and I've praised our defensive backfield depth, but he's our best safety. So having him in and out of the lineup and the lack of consistency there, I think that's hurt in some spades. And on your point, Nick, of Jatavian being our best player, he probably is, because if I told you guys his stat line, 22 catches for 17 yards per catch, you would be like, okay, that's a deep threat, speedy receiver.
Real?
That's real. 22 catches, 17 yards per catch. So you wouldn't, if I told you that, you'd be like, okay, that's maybe Jonte Cook. That's maybe Xavier Worthy. That, but no, that's Jatavian Sanders. He's leading the team in yards per reception at 17 yards per reception, which is pretty crazy. So his big playmaking ability, like you guys are saying, is there. He's a very talented athlete with the ball in his hands. So ultimately, we could go, yes, who's the guy? And Sark I can't say Sark's called a bad season. We're 8-1. But if we're going to pass the blame around and pass that buck around, I got to look at Sark and being like, you are the one dialing this thing up. Why are you not getting the ball, like Nick's saying, to Jatavian Sanders in the red zone? You know, why can't you convert on the red zone? Why can't you? Where's the issue there? Why is Xavier Worthy? I know we have Malik in, but why has he kind of gone dark and gone quiet the past couple of games, aside from his punt return touchdown? So if we're gonna be like, pointing at the players, like we do have to, shift some of the blame to Coach Shark and be like, hey, like we know who the best guys are.
Yeah.
Why is Jatavian Sanders, who's a really talented guy, 54 catches? Sorry, T, but like,
no.
Why is he have like speedster Deshaun Jackson freshman year stats? Like, why is that the case?
And the interesting thing is we only have one drive this season where we've had, and look, this is a high number, but where one of our receivers had more than 5 receptions on one drive. And it was, I can't remember exactly what game it was, but it was Worthy, and he had 6 receptions that game. They all came on one drive. And we peppered him with like three bubble screens, and I think he had whatever it was. But there hasn't. The only reason why I bring that up is we were talking about Jatavian Sanders being a pro. Like when I look at pro wide receivers who are the number 1, number 2 on their team, there are many drives where they are nearly unstoppable and they get 4, 5 receptions in one drive, right? Especially to close out.
CeeDee Lamb just like takes over.
Yeah. But I will say, Josh, I think it's a great point. I just thought that was an interesting tidbit, but I think it's a great point about the defensive side of the ball too, because I've seen a lot of the tape and the breakdowns, and of course everybody's got something to say, but a lot of the criticisms have been of that shell coverage that PK has been running with our DBs, who are athletically incredibly talented. Why aren't we playing a little bit more press coverage? Why aren't we playing closer up to the line, letting them beat our athletes as opposed to giving them 5-6 yards of space to work with? And I think it's just an interesting piece to think about. And we've given a lot of adulation to PK and the way he's called the scheme, especially up front. But that's also where our best personnel is too, right? So those players deserve as much as, if not more, credit for the work that they've put in there. So I know we've been critical of PK in past, and I just, if we're pointing fingers, let's not forget who we like to point the finger at.
There's one more thing I will say about our offense and just getting guys the ball. I'm looking at like Bama and how they distribute the ball, and at least in the passing game. In every game, 8 guys have catches. There's a game, I guess, against Ole Miss, 10 guys caught a pass. Like we're looking at our stat lines, and we're lucky if there's like 5 or 6 guys that catch a pass. Sometimes it's 4 guys that catch a pass. So I'd love to see more, interchangeability throughout the offense. Like get Jonte the Cook the ball at least once a game. I mean, that sets guys up for success in the future as well. They need to get those reps in. So I don't know. It's definitely a thing on the offensive side of the ball that just needs to get worked out. And that's partially why I feel like we haven't been able to put up more than 40 points in the game, because sometimes the offense goes stagnant and you need fresh legs and you need guys that want to go in there and make plays.
Mahomes had 9 guys. 9 guys. Sorry.
What's up?
No, you go, Q.
And from that standpoint, I know and Sark certainly the defense is going to predict some of that. Quinn, we think of Quinn as a salty veteran. Certainly Malik had early years and, not a lot of experience. So that does factor in. We have to be real about that piece of it. Quinn is only going in he hadn't been a college quarterback for 2 years yet. He hadn't played a full season in college yet. So all of those things do factor in. And we've had some drive killers when he's trying to be tough and run guys over, and he fumbles. So I think both sides have responsibility in why we're not in the 40s and all that with the offensive weapons we have, because we do have a lot of NFL guys on the offensive side too. We saw Jay Witt go off at Oklahoma. Jay Witt maybe have 2 catches left, and for me, Jay Witt's our third down guy. I literally still, I'm freaking how many years removed, and they're like, dude, we needed to play on third down. We're going your way. Everybody knew it. Our fans, our opponents, and there's ways to design to make that happen. So going back, and this is what I'll say. Do we have the roster to win a national championship? Absolutely. Especially this year. But we have to trend in the other direction from playing a complete game and putting the pieces together without the lulls. Really, it's we are still building culture, and we really are. And winning an overtime game like we did with defense and all the above, that builds it. That's awesome. That is what we want to see. But it's still growing pains, in my opinion. And that's why I'm hesitant to say oh, dude, we're going to run through everybody. We're going to have a chance. And so I don't know that we're there yet. When you get, we're playing really good at home, played decent on the road. But when you get in that atmosphere, that's also a different level. That is a pee down your leg or use the butterflies to go get her done. And I'm not sure where we are yet because we haven't been there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey,
my
the
bad.
weekly pass. What's going on here? Bonnie Jill Laughlin. Oh, okay, it went back to us. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a couple
Is there a
of
Is there a
couple of
ghost in the machine?
cheerleaders.
I was
Couple
like,
of
man,
cheerleaders
nobody
popped
on
in.
this thing looks that good. But
Hey, I got a new camera. I don't know if I was waiting for you guys to notice.
but yeah, so that's why I say, man, we have a great roster, and if we put it together, now that's play calls, offense and defensively. That's players cutting out silly mistakes, being great in all phases, and it truly takes that to win a ship. And unfortunately for me, I don't know that we've done it. And then last but not least, the psyche. They all have heart. They're phenomenal. They work hard. But what it takes mentally to get past a playoff game and extra and all the above, which is why TCU did it last year. They had 89,000 seniors, 6-year seniors, and mentally they were there and they were ready.
For sure.
That's why they beat Michigan. Michigan come back better because of it, or they're getting more data from film or signs. But no, those little things is why I'm not sold on us being ready to win a natty. But I'm very sold on us, our culture being where it needs to be to leave this Big 12 with the trophy.
Yeah,
No doubt.
I'm trying to see like what the highest number of players drafted in a season is for us. But I would imagine we're going to be pretty close to the record this season. Like realistically, we have, if Quinn comes out and Brooks come out, like Quinn
Drafted
Brooks,
or just pros? They're like
drafted. I'm saying drafted. I'm saying these guys are going to be taken in the draft right now. This season alone, you could go our running back, our quarterback, both our wide receivers, our tight end. That's 5 guys on the offensive side of the football. You have Murphy, you have Sweat, that's 7. You have 4. We think he's going to be drafted. That's 8. Catalan could be drafted.
I think Watts will.
Watts, okay. And then Barron could also be
11.
drafted. That's 11 guys that could be drafted. I think I'm forgetting somebody.
Bert
And
Auburn.
And the guys that could be drafted.
Maybe.
Like,
maybe.
No,
Yeah.
the guys that could be drafted this season. So we have the talent, we have the pros, and it's not like we're like, look.
Well, and you didn't even say Jay Witt. Jay Witt should be.
Oh, that's our third receiver. Yes, Jay Witt is going to.
Jay Witt should get drafted. So that's the thing, man. We have that, and we've only scored 40 once. So that's my doubt. Is putting it together and playing the complete game.
Agreed. Well, let's look. We still have TCU. We still have Tech. So the beauty of, and we're talking still about the Big 12 championship and wanting to see what we can do there if we get there. But the beauty of these next 2 games, we have that opportunity to put it together with our quarterback back. We have the opportunity to see a full, complete game and 2 more games to prove, okay, like this is a team that actually deserves. And maybe that's why the community doesn't have us at 6 ahead of Oregon. We've been wondering that all week. Maybe they see that too. Like all the reasons we're saying. So hopefully we could see that with TCU. Hopefully we could see that with Tech Thanksgiving week, and then go on to the Big 12 championship like we're talking about. And we've seen those things that we're asking for. And then this is a team that we really believe can contend for a national championship and a playoff spot.
Yeah, because that's at the end of the day, let's not get it twisted. We are very happy.
This is awesome.
To be 8-1, to be in this position, to have a lot of good, to be nationally relevant. That hadn't happened in a long time. But
no doubt.
As it's weird to say this that tells you that there still is some youth on the team, is that you're this far in the season and you're still seeing this growth, there's experience to gain. And so I think a lot of those things factor into the other pieces. But I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped for this weekend. I want to whip the crap out of
Frogs.
TCU, the good old Frogs, and then do 9-1.
Don't wear your purple. Don't wear your purple shirt, Q.
Yeah, you've done that before, dude.
No way. I do have a lot more purple in my closet than maroon.
You look good in purple. You look like one of those girls we just saw on the screen. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, so I had to rep that, man. But no, I'm no purple this weekend. I'm absolutely wearing the burnt orange. And I'm actually flying there with a buddy because we're gonna day trip it. His plane has a Longhorn on the tail, so we're all burnt orange in, baby. So it's gonna be fun.
Burn orange on a PJ, baby. We love
Hey,
it.
if we beat TCU, we beat Texas Tech, we take care of business like we want, Steve Sarkisian will have a 10-win season for the first time in his coaching career, which would be awesome for him and for his future.
Yeah, but that can happen before TCU. If we beat TCU and Iowa State.
Oh shoot! Yeah, you're right. Before Tech,
that was my bad. I forgot.
Yeah, we got 2 away games, and then we finished with Tech after Thanksgiving. So,
that's right,
dude. That would
so if
that
TCU
would
and Iowa State, it would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
I forgot about Iowa State. Damn, yeah. Then Iowa State. Hey, Iowa State's no picnic.
How are you leaving out a 12-1 Texas team? If they go 12-1, how do you not put them in the college football playoff?
I could tell you. We know how. Like the Ducks.
I just don't think they will, though. I'm telling you, we win the Big 12 and we don't have another loss. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We always say that, right, Coach Speak? But I would be willing to wager a lot of things that we would be in the playoff.
I'm with you.
Because I'm going to tell you, it's a business too.
Oh, yeah.
Texas travels, and we're top 5 every year in eyeballs and all the above. So whether it's good or bad, a lot of people watch us because they want us to fail. Haters going to hate, but it was for real. I would bet a lot as far as us getting there where we need to get to.
Yeah, we're with you. All right, gents. We'll see you. Q. We'll see you on the screen, man. We'll be looking for you again. I saw you at Coin Toss, so we'll be looking for you out there again. Enjoy. Have a great time. Enjoy the spread that they offer. That's apparently so delicious. And we'll be watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Fisher, Tassopoulos, DJ, Nikki, Snacks Cutter, and the Quan Cosby. Horns up. We'll catch you guys next time. Hook 'em. What's gonna win?